Hello, everyone. My name is Seth, and today I want to talk about some of the new plot details for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day is one of my most anticipated films for this year. If you want to go back, I have my top 10 most anticipated films for this year. I did a video on that a little bit earlier, so you can go back and check that out. I'll link it in the description below. But I absolutely cannot wait for Spider-Man. I really love the director. The director is Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi. I love all of the Tom Holland films, so I'm just excited for more Spider-Man in the MCU. There's been tons of rumors and reports and scoops and stuff floating around this film, especially because Marvel or Sony hasn't actually put really any details out at all. Basically, the only thing that they've done is posted some behind the scenes videos from when they were filming outside. But there have been a couple of plot details that have came out, and I definitely want to talk to you about those and hear what you have to say. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Share this video around with any friends or family. It could really help the channel grow. That would absolutely make my day. So first things first, we have an official plot synopsis. Finally, even though it didn't come from Sony or Marvel, this comes from the official website for Penguin Random House. It's a listing for a new Art of Brand New Day book that's going to be released later this year. But even though even the cover on that book isn't even finished on the listing, we do have a plot synopsis. 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. In order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man not only needs to be at the top of his physical and mental game, but he must also be prepared to fight the repercussions of his past. So immediately, I think that sounds like a really fun, just kind of broad synopsis for a Spider-Man film. One thing I think is definitely interesting is that it has been 4 years since we last saw Peter Parker Spider-Man. So I was a little bit nervous that they would just kind of jump into it relatively quickly, and the whole anonymous, no more Peter Parker kind of thing was just almost an afterthought, but it seems like they really are leaning into it, and I really like that. So it seems like we're going to be picking up with this version of Spider-Man being the best version of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that he has ever been in the MCU, and that's a lot of fun. I know that's exactly what we were wanting. Kind of with the whole home trilogy, it almost serves as a whole origin story for the full-fledged Spider-Man that we're going to start getting now. And of course, it's not mentioned in this plot synopsis, but there are some other details that we know have come out over the last few months, year or so. We know that the Punisher is going to be in this to some degree. We know that the Hulk is going to be in this to some degree. There were some rumors at one point that Yelena Belova was going to be in this just for a little bit. I haven't heard anything on that recently, so I think that's probably debunked at this point. But we know that Michael Mando is coming back as Mac Gargan, and this time he's actually going to be Scorpion from the sound of things. We also know that Marvin Jones III is actually reprising his role as Tombstone. He did the voice of Tombstone in the Spider-Verse films. Well, he's back as Tombstone in this film, obviously a different version of him, but still we know Tombstone will appear. When the plot mentions an unusual trail of crimes, I bet that Tombstone is going to have something to do with it. If I had to take a guess, it seems like to me Tombstone is going to be one of the main villains of this film, if not the main villain. I think that's a lot of fun. That's another thing to kind of help keep this a little bit more grounded than the whole multiverse thing. Instead of save the multiverse or save the universe, it's save the city. And we can definitely have stories that have really high stakes and really great character work with kind of a smaller scale. And that kind of seems like what we're getting here. There's also a rumor going around that there was going to be like kind of a montage of Spider-Man taking down some other villains. Around summer of last year, My Time to Shine on Twitter, he's a scooper, which take this with a grain of salt. You know, sometimes he's been right, sometimes he hasn't. But he said there's about 8 villains in this, and it would be reportedly during a montage sequence at the beginning of the film, kind of like how it was handled in Fantastic Four: First Steps. Another thing that I think is interesting about that plot summary is the line about Peter Parker having to face repercussions from his past. It is good to see that we're going to be picking up some threads from this previous Spider-Man trilogy, but I can't really think of how that plays into the larger story other than maybe him dealing with some of the repercussions of the whole spell and not being friends with Ned and MJ anymore. But of course, I don't know how big of a presence that those two are going to have. If it was me, I wouldn't have them be in it really much at all. But we'll see. That's one thing. Maybe we'll get a little bit more details on whenever the trailer does come out. I think another big piece that we have really no idea how this fits in is Sadie Sink's character. From another online scooper, Daniel RPK, she will reportedly have a pretty close relationship with the Punisher, but she will also have some kind of mind control powers. And we do know that Sadie Sink is coming back for Avengers Secret Wars. For a long time, a lot of people have already had the theory that she's going to be Jean Grey. And I think some of that information is kind of leaning towards that. I was one of the ones that thought maybe it didn't make a ton of sense to introduce a major mutant character like Jean Grey in this Spider-Man movie. But there's another detail that came out that does kind of make sense as to why she would be here. I know I've said the word rumor or report multiple times in this video, but that's basically all we have to go off of. And there's a report and a rumor that one of the plot points in this film is Peter Parker actually mutating. One of my favorite movie guys, John Campea, did kind of weigh in on this a little bit, and he said that this is almost kind of like in the vein of Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. You know, maybe one of the things that's the issue here is that Peter is starting to mutate into an actual kind of spider-like creature. There's a rumor that he was going to be getting organic webbing. And according to these rumors, one of the main things in this film is trying to figure out what's going on before Peter completely changes and mutates. It's like a race against time. And so because of that, if that's true, that does make more sense for Sadie Sink's character to be Jean Grey and for her to show up again in Secret Wars. That kind of just all comes together and makes sense. And if that's true, I think that's awesome. I think Sadie Sink is a very talented actress, and I think she would be a great fit for the role of Jean Grey. But going on with her potential role in Spider-Man, it kind of sounds like this might be an opportunity to set up some of the anti-mutant things in this universe. And John also goes on to mention that maybe this is kind of a pre-Xavier's school, and part of the reason she's kind of buddied up with the Punisher is because she's being hunted for her mutant abilities. And again, that also ties into another rumor that Tramell Tillman, which an incredible actor. I loved him in Severance. He was great in his role in Mission Impossible. I will always have Tramell Tillman in anything. It seems like he's going to be a villain in this film. I believe he was announced as like an unnamed villain character when he joined the cast. And with all this stuff about Peter mutating and Jean Grey potentially kind of being on the run, and with what we saw in Wonder Man from the DODC, it all kind of goes hand in hand with the rumor that Tramell Tillman is going to be one of the heads of the DODC, starting to hunt down mutants or super powered individuals that, you know, kind of like aren't known. There was also that leaked trailer that came out about a month ago, I think, that also had some hints at the Hand being a part of this story. Maybe that could be a part of the kind of trail of crimes that pulls Spider-Man in. And if the Hand is in this with the Punisher, maybe it makes sense for Daredevil to show up as well. It kind of seems like there's a lot going on, but the focus still is going to be on Spider-Man, on Peter Parker, and making it more of a smaller scale story instead of like save the universe, like I said, save the city kind of thing. And that's exactly the kind of story I want to see from Spider-Man. I will say I'll have to wait and see how the whole Peter Parker mutating thing goes, because if that's true, I don't know how I feel about that. Let's just say if I was directing a Spider-Man movie, I don't think that that would be a part of it, but I think that could be handled well. It just has a little bit of work to do to win me over. I think we'll definitely get a lot more information about this film, like concrete information instead of reports and rumors, whenever the trailer comes out. And honestly, I'm expecting the trailer to come out pretty soon. At this point, it is the end of February as I'm recording this video, and the movie comes out toward the end of July. So that puts us right at about 5 months until this film comes out. And typically, the sweet spot for ramping up marketing is kind of the 4 to 5 month period. So if I had to make a prediction, I think probably within the next 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to be getting our first official trailer for Brand New Day. And I'm sure it won't answer all of the questions, but hopefully it'll answer just a couple of them that we have through all of these news articles and reports and rumors that are just flying around everywhere. But that's it. That's kind of the Spider-Man Brand New Day update. That was a lot of information, a lot of things kind of coming from everywhere. But I think this sounds like it's going to set up to be a really neat Spider-Man focused story. Like I said, if the whole mutation thing is where they're going to have to do a little bit of work to win me over for that. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you about it. Just leave any of your thoughts, theories, questions, whatever in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.